It's back, baby! After a year and a half of releasing shockingly good slice-of-life one-shots, Tatsuki Fujimoto has returned to grace our lives with more twisted, horrific action. Now, before I start digging into my thoughts on the new chapter, and part 2 as a whole, I should make something very clear. It is my firmly held opinion that Chainsaw Man Part 1 is the best piece of popular fiction of the modern era. If you want to hear someone go into detail as to why that is, Mother's Basement has a great video about it, but suffice it to say, there has not been a story that affected me more than Chainsaw Man for the last 10 years. I've read it around 3 times from start to finish, and there are still like 3 page-turn moments that stopped me in my tracks. On average, it takes me 3 minutes to read a chapter of manga, and it once took me 5 minutes to finish 1 page. And that page didn't even have any text! At its best, Chainsaw Man is about big ideas and dark implications, prestige horror at its most cerebral. And at its worst, it's a hugely creative and visually stunning action series. That's an incredibly high standard to live up to, and I came into this new chapter with the highest of expectations. So what do I think? It's good! Part 2 stars Asa Mitaka, a high school student who hates devils, a weirdly controversial opinion in her class. They've just been assigned the task of caring for the chicken devil, a cute little oven roaster named Bucky. They're going to take care of him for 3 months, at which point they're going to kill and eat him so they can learn a valuable lesson on the meaning of life or whatever. All of Mitaka's classmates immediately fall in love with the cute headless bird, but her first thought after seeing it is how much she wishes it was dead already. Mitaka is at that wonderful stage of adolescence where she just fucking hates everything. Walking in the hallway? Die. Hanging out in the bathroom? Die. In a relationship? Die. She doesn't have any friends, and she doesn't want any friends. She even hates her local devil-slaying superhero. When the day of Bucky's execution finally rolls around, she couldn't be happier. But wouldn't you know it, her entire class has decided that chicken is no longer on the menu. What a ripoff! All the other kids run outside to celebrate, but Mitaka just stands on the sidelines and sulks. Her teacher and her class president both say she should join the game, but she just isn't having it until the impossible happens. Bucky jumps into Mitaka's arms and invites her to play with them by name. But no one remembers her name. In a flash, she sees the error of her ways. She never hated her classmates. She was just jealous that they were happy and she wasn't. She realizes just how much time she's wasted being bitter and decides that this is it. She's going to join the game. She's going to live life to the fullest from here on out. And then she trips. Bucky is squished to death, and Mitaka is left more ostracized than ever. Mitaka does not take this well. She hides in her room and wishes she was dead. See how the tables have turned? But then her teacher and her class president show up at her door and invite her to visit Bucky's grave. It's a kind gesture, and she agrees to join. But when she refuses to jaywalk, it sets off the class president. Turns out she made a contract with the devil to get their teacher to stop fucking her and start making love. She's jealous that the teacher is nice to Mitaka. Not close, not intimate, not even kind, just nice. Mitaka didn't just trip, she was tripped. In the nanosecond before her head is sliced in half, Mitaka realizes that jealousy is universal. Everyone gets jealous, but you shouldn't let that hold you back. With her dying breath, she wishes she'd lived just a little bit more selfishly. But that isn't the end. As it's rolling around on the ground, her eye lands on a creepy owl who just so happens to be the War Devil. Mitaka resurrects, rips the teacher's spine out, and uses it as a sword to cut up the class president before blowing her up with a literal hand grenade. Basking in the glow of victory, and as the chapter comes to a close, War Devil sets her sights onto her next target, Chainsaw Man. She's gonna find him, and she's gonna make him vomit nuclear weapons? Alright, I've tried not to spoil any of part 1 with this video so far, but if you want to understand what that last line means and why I'm so excited to see what comes next, then you need a little context. In Chainsaw Man, devils aren't just scary versions of real things. Instead, they're manifestations of humanity's fears towards that thing. To give you an example, I'm going to compare two devils, the Shark Devil and the antagonist of Part 1, the Gun Devil. The Shark Devil is basically just a big shark with massive jaws that can swim through anything, because that's why we're afraid of sharks. They're big, they bite us, and they come at us out of nowhere. But with guns, it's a little more complicated, because as a collective, it isn't really guns that we're afraid of. Sure, catch me alone in a dark alley, and yeah, a gun's pretty scary, but humanity's fear of guns is the fear of gun violence. More accurately, the fear of mass violence. So the Gun Devil's power isn't just having a bunch of guns. The Gun Devil is able to cause mass death, destroying an incomprehensible amount of people in a single instant. There are Bat Devils and Darkness Devils and Cold Devils, but there's only one devil that all other devils fear, and that's the Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is like a mythological boogeyman to the devils, because he isn't just a physical threat, but an existential one. When a devil dies on Earth, they resurrect in hell and have to wait like 100 years before they can come back to Earth. But when Chainsaw Man eats a devil, they, and the thing they represent, are erased from existence. No one remembers them, no one fears them, and they never come back. Now, you might be asking, how is that a reflection of our collective fears towards chainsaws? Well, clearly, at some point, Chainsaw Man ate the nuclear weapons devil, and War Devil is trying to get them back. Apparently, she wants a three-peat of the worst atrocity ever committed in her name. Well, I, for one, am spooked. That's a great motivation, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. But before I sign off, I want to shine a light on what I think of War Devil's powers. As I said earlier, in Chainsaw Man, a devil's power is often a metaphorical literalization of the power of their concept in real life. So what is it that she's actually able to do? In this first chapter, she turns her teacher's spine into a sword and her class president's hand into an explosive. She can turn living beings into a weapon. To put it another way, she turns men's bodies into weapons of death. You know, like what war does. Tatsuki Fujimoto, you do not miss.